Hey guys, how's it going? So we have a junior React problem. It's called traffic light simulation. So it asks us to do some kind of simulation of traffic lights. So it says simulate traffic light where each second light turns from green to yellow, yellow to red, and back to green. If you can't understand the problem, we can click on show preview, and then we will have our problem here. I mean the preview here. So it starts with green and it turns yellow and then red. Every second, it just turning from one state to another. So first of all, if it's green, then it will turn to yellow to red. So it says like light turns from first green to yellow and then yellow to red and back to green. Okay, so how would we code this? So there are many ways of coding this problem, but I'll show you the way I would do that. So let me open my Next.js app. So it's just an app, and then I have a component here called traffic light, and I'm using some use state and use effect hook here. I'm going to use that. That's why I'm using that use client at the top of our code, so that it will consider as a client-side code, not server-side code in Next.js. But if you're using or you're doing it on React, you don't need to include use client. Okay, so now let's understand how can we solve this problem. So first of all, we need to have some kind of ways to display these lights, right? So let's code that first. Okay, so I have just a flexbox. Let me pull my local as well so that you can see it. So that's my local. It's currently doing nothing because we have added nothing. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is create three divs, and so each div will have some width, some height, and then so that we can add some background color to it. So let's add that, and then we need to give it some background color. So let's say we give it a background color of white. So we have our rounded box, you can call it, or rounded div, which is currently white, and it just has some width and height. That's it. It's plain simple div element. But we need three of those, right? So let's just copy and paste that. In VS Code, you can just, if you want to copy a line, you can just say Control or Command C, and then paste it, and then you can have your pasted code. You don't need to like select a whole line. That was a simple tip, in case you're wondering how I did that. Okay, so now we have like something similar here, right? So we have like our divs. Now we need some kind of state which will manage the color, because see, we want to go from like this should go from like green to gray, yellow to gray, and then red to gray. So this is what it's doing, right? So it's like it's turning on and off. That's all it's doing, but it feels like it's going like this way. Just a kind of illusion. But all we're doing is just simulating like one div, like on and off, on and off. So yeah, so that's like we're getting like small hints, like how can we uh, come to the solution. So that's a good practice when you're doing some kind of challenge to yourself, because in a real interview you have to like explain what you're doing. You can't just code and then give it like, oh, I'm doing this. The interviewer will be considering how you're approaching the problem, then what the solution looks like. So it's a good practice to like repeat what you're doing so that you can explain it to them as well. Okay, so we have something here. Now what we can do is we need some kind of state. So let's use some use state hook here. Uh, and then, so we have our color here, which is currently green, and we will be using this setter function to change this color property or this color variable, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now what we need to do is, so we need to find a way to like, because see, the off state will be like some gray color, right? So like gray, let's give it like gray 500, not white, because our initial question asks us to use like a gray background. So let's make them first of all turn off. So what did I do wrong? So let's give it a turn off state first. So now they all on the off state, you can consider. Now we need to use this setter function, right? So that we can alter this variable. And one thing we're seeing, like we're doing a lot of repetition here. So say we have the same code repeating 3 times. So what we can do is we can copy that code, and we can maybe create a const and give it a name of class const. I don't know if it's the right name, but it will solve our purpose. And if I need to put inside those commas. Okay, so now we have our class const, and now we can copy this and we can remove these guys, and we can't just like paste like that, because see now, so this won't work because this is not a class, right? So we need to put inside our in template literals. So change we will change this to backticks so that we can put our templates here. So we removed this repeated code and we added this variable here inside string interpolation, and then we can see like nothing has changed here. So that way, like we can remove some of the code which like we are keep on reusing, and this looks way better than it was previously looking. And now what we can do is let's create a use effect hook, because see, we need to run our code each second, right? And so we will be using set interval function inside use effect hooks because we want it to run each second. Because we're using the set interval, so let's call it interval, and then set interval, and then it will ask an anonymous function here. We will pass our setter function, the set color, inside this set interval. So we can do that easily here, and we will call it. Right now we are not passing anything, so it will complain. And we want this use effect to run so we want our set interval to run each second, right? So we can pass our seconds here, so it's in milliseconds, so we'll have to pass like 1000. So now this function, this interval, will run every second. Okay, so now what we want each second to change the state from like green to yellow and then yellow to red, right? So this is what we are looking for. So what we can do is we can create a previous state, or like we can call it previous color in this case, and we need to close this inside brackets, and then we need to we need to pass an anonymous function, because this anonymous function will return one value. So this is the anonymous function. I mean, we don't need to give it a name, that's why it's called anonymous function. And inside it we need to use the if condition. So let's say if the previous color is equal to green, which is like our initial state, then what will return? That's the question to you, like what will we return? So if it's green, what it asks us to do, sorry, here, from green to yellow, so this what will return. So green, then it will return yellow. Oh. And then close it, and then similarly, second if condition, if previous color is equal to yellow, then we will return green. Oh, sorry, red. My bad. Then we return red. Yes. And at the end, we will just return our green. If this is not like, if those conditions are not true, I mean, if both these ifs are not true, then we will return green. I mean, initially it will be green. So because when it's turning red, we are not putting condition for red, right? Because we are green, yellow. We can put like if it's red, and then but instead of that we'll just return green. It's doing the same thing. So, and we are saving ourselves one if. Yeah, so this is fine. And the few things we are missing here as well. So see, we need to so this interval function will return each second. So this is the second we are provided here. Now, one of the common practice we do in React whenever we're using a use effect hook and we're calling like these set interval functions is we need to clear those functions when the component is unmounted. So in this case, we will return, and we will use clear interval function, and we will pass our interval. If we don't use it, if we don't clean up the function, then you might have some memory issues. The memory usage of this function will increase because we are not cleaning up. So that's the requirement we have whenever we are using the use effect hook. We should always try to like clean that function. So when this component will unmount, so that the use effect will kill that function. All right, and we don't need to pass any dependency array because we don't need it right now. This is a simple function, so let's pass it empty. Otherwise, this will do bad things to our program. We don't want that, right? Okay, now what we need to do is, now how would we call this function? That's the thing, right? We are not calling anything. So we need to create a function and pass it here so that we can change this background. We can change this background every second, and we will be using like this uh, color variable here. So the color variable is will be changed here, and we will use that variable to change the color here. I hope it's not too confusing. So let's create our function here. So const get color class, and then we will have it will accept a color name property. So we'll call it string because we are passing string here. And now this we will call this function here. So let's remove that guy and just paste our code, and here we will pass our color name. Now for this one we will pass, so the first is red, so we'll pass red. The second is yellow, so we'll pass yellow. Oh, and then we will pass our green at the bottom. So this function is expecting a color name which we are passing here, but this will not work because we need to put inside our string literal. So we will do that. So okay, so now we're passing our function here. So when this function will be called, we will need to do some checks. So let's do that. So if color which we are passing matches, sorry, the color is this color is the initial state we're passing here, right? This one. So if this matches the color name, then we will be using our switch in case, because that's easier here, because we have a lot of repetition here. So let's use that. So we'll pass our color name here, and then we will, in the first case is red. So if it's red, then we will return, because we're using Tailwind. So if I'm sorry if I didn't tell you guys before, but we're using Tailwind, right? So let's give it some background color, red 500, and let's add all the others value as well. Okay, so if it's yellow, we will return this. If it's green, we will return this. Otherwise, its default is blank. And if this is not true, if this condition is not true, then we can just then we can return just our the gray which we were showing before. So if I do that and pass it here, and something funky is going on. Okay, let me see what I did wrong. What I'm doing wrong, let me see. It's going too fast, passing 1000, that's true. Okay, so I just restarted the server, sorry, and now it's behaving as we expected. See over here, it's the same behavior we are getting here. So yeah, so that is the solution, and you can find the solution here as well. So if you are trying to do it yourself, you can get the solution from here. And that's it pretty much from this coding challenge. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty beginner level challenge, but I think even if you're like, if you think like this is easy, I mean, you should give it a try, because this, the way like we're using it, like the way we are using our use fact hook, then we're passing like clear interval, set interval, all these things they can ask you in like in a technical interview, right? So it's a good practice if you can like learn these things like we are over here, like we created a constant and then we passing it here. So if you're doing that in an interview, like you'll really impress the interviewer that you know like what you're doing. And then I think it's a neat solution. Obviously, if you think you have a better solution, just let us know, right? And yeah, that's it from today's video. I'll be adding more questions here as well. So if you go to webmasterydev.com, you will have your questions here, and then you can try it yourself. Okay, that's all from today's video, guys. I'll see you in the next question. Thank you.